It starts, as so many village legends do, with a whisper. A name spoken only when the wind howls after midnight. In the old village of Thornwick, there is a well, cracked with age and strangled by weeds. The villagers never drink from it, never draw water, never even walk too close. They say the well belongs to her, the Phantom Bride. Welcome, dear listeners, to Darkhaven, where the most haunting tales of witches, ghosts, and cursed souls are brought to life. Tonight, we descend into a story that still chills the bones of those who live near Thornwick. This is the tale of the Phantom Bride of the Well. The story begins centuries ago, when Thornwick was a thriving farming community. Its people believed in rituals and old superstitions, offering grain to the fields and prayers to the wind, hoping to keep evil spirits away. But one spirit would not be bargained with. Her name was Eveline. She was to be married to a wealthy landowner's son, a man chosen not out of love, but out of her family's desperation. On the night of her wedding, Eveline wore a gown of pure white, her veil stitched by her mother's trembling hands. The villagers said she looked like an angel as she walked to the altar, though her eyes told another story, eyes full of sorrow and fear. The man she was to marry was cruel, known for his temper and his dark dealings. Eveline had begged her family to release her, but the arrangement had already been sealed. And so, beneath a blood-red sky, she was bound in vows she never wished to make. But Eveline's fate did not end with a kiss. Instead, her husband-to-be discovered that she had tried to flee the village before the ceremony. Furious, drunk with rage and humiliation, he dragged her from the altar and through the village streets, still in her wedding dress. Some say the townsfolk watched in silence. Others claim they tried to stop him, but the man's power and influence were too great. He pulled her toward the edge of the village, to the old well. There, under the pale glow of the moon, Eveline screamed for mercy, but none came. In one final act of cruelty, he bound her veil around her face and pushed her into the darkness of the well. Her cries echoed for what seemed like hours, then stopped abruptly as the water swallowed her whole. Her body was never recovered, and from that night forward, Thornwick was never the same. Crops began to fail, children grew sick without cause, and every so often, a villager would find something chilling on their doorstep, a piece of drenched lace torn from Eveline's veil. It was said to be an omen, her way of marking those who would soon join her beneath the water. At first, the people whispered of Eveline's restless soul, trapped between life and death. But as the years turned to decades, she became something more. The villagers spoke of a witch's curse, for Eveline had been seen seeking charms from the local wise woman before her wedding. Perhaps she had called upon darker powers to free herself. Perhaps when she was thrown into that well, she had become bound to it, transformed into something unholy. They began to call her the Phantom Bride, and her legend grew. It is said that on stormy nights, when the clouds choke the moon and the air grows heavy, you can hear her sobbing from deep inside the well. The sound rises like mist, carrying through the village streets, slipping under doors and into dreams. One story tells of a farmer who ignored the warnings and drew water from the well during a drought. That night, his wife awoke to find a trail of wet footprints leading through their house. At the end of the trail, lying upon their bed, was Eveline's veil, soaked and heavy. By morning, the farmer was gone, his body never found. The well, however, was deeper by one more soul. Another tale recalls a group of children who dared each other to look into the well at midnight. They laughed at the legends, peering over the stone edge, whispering her name into the darkness. But one child slipped. The others ran for help, and when the villagers arrived, the well was silent. Only the boy's cap floated on the water's surface. Days later, his sister found his toy horse on her windowsill, wrapped in a strip of wet wedding lace. The village grew terrified of the bride's vengeance. They tried to seal the well, piling stones over its mouth, but each morning the stones were scattered, as though something from within had clawed its way out. A priest was called to bless the ground, but his voice faltered and his cross turned black in his hand. Even holy water boiled away when poured into the depths. Time passed, generations came and went, but the story never faded. The well remained, overgrown with vines, avoided by all. Children were told never to play near it, and travelers were warned to stay away. Yet still, the phantom bride is said to appear. Some see her walking through the fields at dusk, her dress soaked and clinging to her skin, her veil dragging behind her like a shroud. Others claim she appears in mirrors, her face pale, her eyes hollow, her lips murmuring words no one dares to understand. But the most feared encounter is when she chooses her next victim. If a villager finds Eveline's veil at their door, no prayer or ritual can save them. They are marked. Some flee the village, but the veil follows them, appearing on their pillow, in their barns, even on the windshields of their wagons. And always within days, they disappear. Their bodies are never found. Only their voices echo faintly at the bottom of the well. To this day, the villagers of Thornwick live in her shadow. They speak her name only in hushed tones, afraid she might hear. The well remains untouched, hidden behind tangled roots and stones, but it cannot be forgotten. Each generation inherits the fear, the knowledge that Eveline waits beneath the water, a bride forever betrayed, forever cursed. And so, when the storms roll across the sky and the wind rattles the shutters, they say her veil drifts through the village once more, a reminder that the well is never empty. Perhaps one day, you might walk near Thornwick. Perhaps curiosity will draw you to its abandoned streets and crumbling houses. And if you find yourself standing before an ancient moss-covered well, listen closely. If you hear the sound of water dripping, or a faint sob echoing from the depths, do not look inside. For if you do, the phantom bride will already have your name.